Welcome to the Content Clubhouse podcast presented by The First Call. I'm your host, Nathan Moore, and this week we covered everything with golf content creator Josh Mayer. A really interesting and fun conversation, diving deep on the science behind YouTube thumbnails and algorithms across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, prioritizing long-form content versus short, and also his journey from a small-town first baseman in college in Pennsylvania to dealing with West Texas heat as a golf content creator. That and his incredible faith journey and how that informs everything he does and the work that he is putting in on his content. Just a lot of really good stuff, including some pretty funny stories on some of his travels. So if that sounds like something you want to check out, keep listening. Without further ado, here's our conversation with Josh. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Content Clubhouse, where today we have the honor of hosting golf content creator Josh Mayer, who in terms of total following, actually Josh, you might be the biggest creator you've actually had on here with an audience of nearly 2 million across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. But you're so much more than just your follower count. Obviously, you're also an expecting father. So first of all, congratulations and thanks for coming on.
Dude, appreciate that. Heck yeah.
You're known for really unique and creative content, specifically sort of your almost your anti-travel series of playing golf, where you play, either the cheapest or the lowest rated, or sometimes even abandoned golf courses with warning signs all over. Just off the top, kind of a fun question. What's like the worst on-course experience you've had filming one of those?
The worst on-course experience. I filmed a course out in Rankin, Texas, which is like all the way middle of nowhere, West Texas. There's like 700 people in this town, and there's one golf course, and it was literally like a desert golf course. Like the greens had a little bit of grass on them, but the rest of the course was just like full desert rocks. I went in the middle of the summer, dumbest decision, but I drove out there from Dallas in the middle of the summer. It was like 116 degrees. I had just gotten over mono, and so I wasn't feeling the best to begin with. I go out there, 116 degrees, I'm playing this course, and I literally I probably had like heat exhaustion, but I had to stop filming every like 3 minutes, and I was like doubled over. I like, my heart was like racing. I like could barely breathe. And my wife was with me helping me film, and we're in the middle of nowhere, and she's like, if you pass out, like I can't do anything. Like there's no hospital anywhere around us. So that was pretty bad. I remember I had to literally just go sit in the car for about an hour and just like cool down, and then I ended up finishing filming and filming the video, but it was like, looking back on it, it was like it could have been a little bit worse than it was. So I'd say that's probably the worst experience. Yeah.
The things we do for golf, man, it's nuts. No, I've heard some stories about West Texas, because like, again, I've never really spent a whole lot of time out there, but right as you're driving out there, you get to a point where if something goes wrong, like you got no cell service, nobody's out here, like you could be in big trouble.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just oil fields, and yeah, I mean, every town is like really small. There's like Odessa is like a little bit of a bigger town, but other than that, it was barren. There's nobody out there.
Yeah. Well, before you went out west to Texas, and more specifically where you actually live, kind of in the Dallas area, you grew up in Pennsylvania, and before I guess you were the golfer that you are now, I saw that you were a first baseman on the Lancaster Bible College baseball team in your hometown there, and then after graduating in 2018, looked like you held kind of a more or less a normal job in sales for a little bit. So take us quickly through how you went from baseball in small town Pennsylvania to out in Texas making golf content.
Yeah. So also great deep dive there. That was good. That was a good pull.
LinkedIn, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So after college, I started working for a beverage company. I was just a sales rep for a beverage company. I sold water and iced teas and lemonades to grocery stores and cafes. So I was kind of like traveling around the East Coast. And then my job after that, I started working for a YouTube channel. So it was a motorcycle YouTube channel based in Pennsylvania. And I didn't do anything on like the content side. We had private label products that we sold on Amazon and Shopify. We had like motorcycle gloves and these tie-down straps for motorcycles. So I managed all of the product stuff, but I was like around content all day. And sometimes I'd be in videos, or like sometimes we'd have like brainstorming sessions and we'd come up with YouTube video ideas and stuff. And I think that was kind of the first time I really saw like, oh wow, you can like make YouTube videos for a living, and make content about something that you really enjoy, and create a real business out of it. Like it was, a pretty successful YouTube channel. Now it has, over like 2 million subscribers. And so it's a pretty big like motorcycle YouTube channel. And so I think that was kind of the first time I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like I would love to do that at some point. And at the time I was really interested in golf. I was starting to get into golf. I kind of just graduated college, and so I was playing more golf. And yeah, I was just like, I'm going to start making content about golf. At the exact same time, TikTok was kind of taken off. COVID hadn't hit yet, but it was about to. And so I think literally maybe 4 months before COVID started, I was just making short form content on TikTok, like trick shots, anything like golf trick shot related. I was doing in like my basement and my friend's house or whatever. I had no idea what I'm doing, but I was just kind of messing around with it and just seeing what could happen. And then COVID hit. We didn't go into the office. I was working from home, and so I just doubled down on. I posted like 2 trick shots a day on TikTok, and one of them ended up like really, really taking off. It got like 30 million views in a week or something. And so I went from 1,000 followers on TikTok to like 300,000 followers overnight. And so I feel like that was the first time where I was like, okay, this could potentially be something legitimate. Like maybe I could actually do this. I didn't expect it to happen this quick, but so yeah, then I kept working for the YouTube channel probably for about another year, and was just in the evenings I would make short form videos on TikTok and post them on Instagram. I hadn't really done anything with YouTube yet up to this point. I basically got like an ultimatum from my boss at the motorcycle place of like, hey, you can, keep working here and help me out and helping with my YouTube channel, or you can kind of just like go do your own thing. And so I, sent it and started doing, that's kind of when I started really like focusing a little bit more on YouTube, and just like taking it more seriously, just because, I hadn't really made any money from it up to that point, just like a couple brand deals here and there. But yeah, I kind of took the full leap. And then I made short form videos in Pennsylvania probably for about a year and a half or 2 years after that, and realized I probably needed to be somewhere a little bit warmer and where I could play golf all year round, and it was easier to travel from. And so yeah, moved to Dallas, Texas. And then still hadn't really figured out YouTube up to that point, but it just kind of was throwing random content at the wall, just seeing if it stuck. And I started the first like somewhat success that I found on YouTube was I did a series where I played golf every single day until I broke par through 9 holes. And so I guess I didn't know it at the time, but that was more of like a broad concept, like a good story that people could get behind. And the thumbnails I made for those videos were a little bit more like general entertainment YouTube style. And like I said, I had no idea what I was doing at the time, but it worked, and it wasn't anything crazy. It got 5 to 10,000 views like per video. But that was kind of the first time I was like, okay, YouTube really could be a thing here, and to build a sustainable business long term, like that's really what I wanted to do, was go like be a full-time YouTuber. And so yeah, I guess that's kind of how I started there. And then got into YouTube, and now I guess that has just grown, and I feel like I've really doubled down on YouTube, and that's kind of where I am today.
Yeah. You brought up a lot in there that I kind of want to unpack and look deeper at. But starting with, I guess, the decision to leave your job. Can you, if you're comfortable with explaining, like, did the employer have an issue, like see you as almost like in a competing space, but like a conflict of interest because you were also doing social media, or was it more about just like, hey, I see you're posting a lot of content, like, are you not working for us as much as you should be? I'm just curious, like, what that looked like.
Yeah, I think the major thing was I think obviously he understood like, okay, the amount of time and effort he puts into YouTube and his business. Um, and for him, somebody that's working for him, it was a small company at the time. There were like 4 or 5 employees. Um, so somebody that's like in a tight knit group working for him, who's also potentially trying to do the same thing that he's doing. Obviously, it's in a different niche, so there wasn't any like competition in that sense. Um, but I think he just understood like, okay, this is the amount of effort it takes, and like this is probably what what Josh is trying to do. And so I think he kind of wanted all of his employees to be very much like all in on his YouTube channel. And we were everybody was kind of in on it and like was compensated well for being a part of that. And so um yeah, it wasn't, there was no like bad blood or anything. It was kind of just a conversation and explaining like, hey, I think there was some encouragement on his end of being like, hey, I genuinely think you can do this for a living and figure it out. But basically just like can't be on my dime. So yeah, at the time I was like a little bit frustrated about it because the company was growing and I was doing my job, and like everything that all the goals that I set out to get done at that company I was doing, and I was just making content on the side in the evenings. But um, yeah, I mean, looking back, obviously it worked out, and me just diving fully into making golf content was what I needed to do in order to actually make it a viable business.
Yeah, I that's really interesting to hear, especially considering a lot of people who are leaving a full-time job to do content creation are coming from a totally separate sphere,
Yep.
finance or working in retail, just something totally different. So the fact that you were kind of already in it is pretty interesting. But so you brought up another thing about kind of switching to the long form content, right? After starting much more in the short form space on Instagram and TikTok, and how YouTube became more of a priority for you. Can you take us in the decision making process of that? Like, what, from a business standpoint, from a viewership standpoint, from a content standpoint, like what all went into that decision, and why are you kind of more targeting the YouTube audience in that long form content versus Instagram, TikTok?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just the main thing is YouTube as a platform is just like way more sustainable. So making a 20 to 30 minute video and being with an audience who's all interested in golf for 20 to 30 minutes is way more valuable, and you're building a way deeper audience doing that than you are making a 30-second to a minute long video of just somebody kind of scrolling through and watching that. And so YouTube from a content perspective, or just from like a business perspective, is just way more viable because you're building a deeper audience that is going to just keep coming back and is more invested in you as a creator, and more invested in your content. And so that's going to result in hopefully like when you do brand deals, selling more products, and when if you do launch merch, selling more of that. And then as far as YouTube as a platform, they pay really well AdSense wise. So every video that I post, there are like, YouTube has an ad product that they run ads on my videos, and they give me 50% of those ads, and so, or the revenue that they make from those ads. And so just from a top zoomed out perspective, it's just way more viable to have your main platform be YouTube. And then from a shift in like the work it actually takes perspective, like making short form videos, it's kind of just like a churn and burn. Like you're making a video every day, or post, like you said, a lot of guys are posting every single day on these platforms. And so the videos are easier to make, and they have the potential to go like way more viral, but it's not necessarily like as sticky. And so the videos are easier to make. You can film them quicker, get them out quicker. So going from that then to YouTube, YouTube is definitely more, and the type of videos that I make, like definitely more drawn out. Like it really matters. The idea really matters. The packaging really matters. So like the title and the thumbnail on the video really matters. And then like the storyline of the video really matters. And so you really have to take a lot of time and a lot of effort to like plan these videos out. And like, some of the videos I'm going to 3 different places for one video. And so you're really planning these out. You're trying to plan ahead the storyline of what it's going to look like. You're planning out the title and the thumbnail, and like you really have to make sure all these things are set in place before you even click record on the camera. And then for me, it probably takes, for some videos, takes a week to film if I'm going to 3 or 4 different places, and then it probably takes a week to edit those videos. And so the contrast between, I can make a short form TikTok video in one day, but a 20 to 30 minute YouTube video, it's probably taken me a week and a half, sometimes maybe 2 weeks to make a full video. So I guess that's kind of the contrast there.
And do you find that as a creative person, do you find that longer form of storytelling like more fulfilling creatively because you're putting in all this effort and there's really much more of a storytelling element rather than the short form?
Dude, 100%. Yeah, I think when you spend so much time on something and you have an idea and you really spend a lot of time planning it out and put a lot of effort into it, and then post it and it does well, like that is the most rewarding thing on the planet. And yeah, I think it means a lot more because you're putting a lot more effort into it. Whereas the short form stuff, it's like, a video might do 10,000 views, but then the next video might do 2 million views. And so I don't know, it's not quite as rewarding. But yeah, I would say, yeah, 100%. The longer form stuff is more rewarding, and you can get more creative with it too, I think, because you have more time with your audience. So you can kind of you can add in more like Easter eggs and more things that people can really connect to you, and more personality. So you can, yeah, I guess just like build a deeper connection with your audience and throw more fun stuff in there that really reflects like your personality and the things that you enjoy. And so that's a lot of fun and rewarding too.
Yeah. Well, and talking about rewarding, like it's such a tricky game in social media to find that fulfillment, that value from, I guess, audience reaction or like total views or total likes, because for whatever reason, sometimes things do really well and you feel great about it, and other times like you put a lot of effort into a piece of content that you personally really liked or thought was a great idea, and for whatever reason, like it just doesn't do as well. Kind of how do you handle, I guess, the fact that a lot of the quote unquote success of your videos may be well out of your control, like from an algorithm standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is just like, I want to put as much effort as I possibly can into every single video, and so that you can't really rely on the outcomes of that. I think deeper than that, I'm a Christian, and I believe that like my identity is in the Lord, and like feedback from people is not ultimately what fulfills me. It's God, my Savior, and the Lord. And so yeah, I think that's another perspective that I have as well, of like, as long as I'm putting the most effort I possibly can into videos and using the gifts that God has given me, and that honestly is what it's all about for me. So
yeah, I mean, I love to hear that as a believer myself. I mean, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about, so we can just go ahead and jump into that real quick. So like up front and obvious, like on your Instagram, I think it's the only text that's in your Instagram bio is follower of Jesus. So like, it's no small thing to put that, I mean, front and center. It's something, that takes a certain amount of bravery and also like full confidence and belief, which I share with you. But just wanted to ask, why is it so important to you to have that out there, and how does your faith, you touched on it a little bit already, but how does it inform your content and how you go about your work with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's the most important thing ever. I mean, Jesus saved my life, and so if I can share the message of the gospel that we're all sinners and fall short of the glory of God and need a Savior, then that I believe that's what I'm on this earth to do. And so it informs every part of my life. Like, it is definitely the most important thing in my life, and every decision that I make with content, I have that in mind. And so, for practically speaking, like I don't swear in my content. I don't have anything that would be, I guess, considered more like worldly or that's just, I don't know, not great stuff. I feel like it's
Yeah.
kind of, I stay away from a lot of that and try and keep it really family friendly and clean. Um, and yeah, I feel like that's kind of the most practical thing. But then, yeah, I mean, obviously it flows into my relationship with Jesus, just flows into every part of my life, and content is a huge part of my life, so that reflects there.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And clearly, the way you've chosen to, to create content and the values that you're trying to reflect, obviously a lot of people, including myself, are really resonating with that, based off, on the audience that you've built. And just goes to show that, again, no, by no means throwing shots at people. I like Bob Does Sports as much as the next guy when they're getting drunk with Josh Allen on the golf course. Like, that's funny. Like, I get it. But I totally also love and respect that that's not your lane and that's not everybody's lane either.
For sure.
There's a lot of different ways to kind of go about this golf content thing. And one of your themes or kind of consistent ideas that I wanted to jump into, kind of following along those lines, is your gearhead side. So, like, along with kind of the travel stuff, you do a lot of, I would just call it like funky golf equipment stuff, be it the small club face clubs or like the crazy driver that shoots the golf ball like a gun, all kinds of other DIY stuff you've done. Like, are you a gearhead? And why do you think those videos do so well? Because I mean, everyone that I came across on your channel has millions of views.
Yeah, I would say I'm a little bit of a gearhead. Yeah, I can get down with some in-depth, like what's in the bag videos, or I watch a lot of that stuff on Instagram and look at those pages that break down all the like PGA Tour players, clubs and stuff. Honestly, I like those types of videos, the ones with the small club or the training aids and stuff like that. Like, they just perform well on social media. It's not really deeper than that. Like, they're very like visually pleasing, and a lot of times there's just curiosity involved with a golf club that has a face the size of a peanut. So it's like, that stuff just does well on social media. So yeah, I feel like I'm always on the lookout for fun stuff like that to make an Instagram video about, or YouTube short or whatever. But yeah, honestly, it's not much deeper than that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes social media seems really confusing, and then other times it's just like, yep, it's a cool thumbnail or it's a cool photo, so like people are gonna watch it. So that does bring up, this is totally random, but in terms of like the thumbnail, since you brought it up, I don't watch a ton of golf YouTube or a ton of YouTube in general, but at the same time, I can't help but like I see all of it, right? And so I see these thumbnails. Is there, like, who came up with the idea to have like the crazy AI? Like, I'm assuming they gotta be AI, right? Because you can't be doing a photo shoot like for every single video that you're doing, like, and everybody does it though, because it must be successful. I guess, like, what have you found in terms of the thumbnails and why that theme of like have a guy with a confused face on, which again, like, everybody does it, like, it's not just you, because the most successful YouTubers do it, but like the science behind thumbnails, just what can you tell us?
Dude, come on, this is fun. Yeah, it's a great question. I'm super passionate about thumbnails. I feel like if you look at the golf space, everybody pretty much does the same thumbnail. Like, every video concept in the golf space is very similar. It's either based on like a competition between two YouTubers, between two well-known people, or it's based on like a guest that these people are having on their channel. Grant Horvat having like LeBron James' son on his channel, stuff like that. And so every single one of those thumbnails is just like two people in the thumbnail with a versus sign in the middle, and that's like 90% of like all golf YouTube videos. But then if you zoom out from golf and if you look at like general entertainment, you look at Ryan Trahan and Mr. Beast and Eric and Jack Pembroke and all these guys that are making more general videos where they're going to hotels and restaurants and testing out like more like widely accepted and more general concepts. They all have thumbnails that some of them are a little bit far-fetched, but a lot of them are like realistic, but they all basically show what the video is like immediately in the thumbnail. Like it's almost like they're kind of taking a screenshot from the video and kind of giving you the quickest way of showing like this is what the video is about. Thumbnails, what works on YouTube is obviously having like a human face, a human reaction close up that somebody can relate to, and then in the background is an example of what exactly is going to be in the video. And so I've tried to take those like general entertainment concepts and thumbnails and apply those to golf, because if you look at the golf space, like every thumbnail looks pretty similar, and so it's relatively easy to stand out if you just kind of switch it up a little bit and do a different concept. And then as far as AI goes, yeah, that, I mean, people, like pretty much everybody's using AI to make thumbnails at this point. Number one, it's gotten like super realistic, like hyper realistic, and yeah, like you said, it would be pretty much impossible to do a photo shoot or take a legitimate photo in front of something that is exactly going to portray what's happening in the video. I guess a little bit deeper than that, I think, you know, the things that make a good thumbnail are, like we said, having somebody's close-up face reaction, having color blocking, so having like the background be pretty much one color where your face really stands out, and then having some sort of object or having one other element where like obviously like that thing is explaining what's happening in the video. So I guess one step deeper than that, having some sort of like tension in the thumbnail. So having, if you look at Ryan Trahan's thumbnails, he does this really well of it's his, you know, face close up, there's one other element, the background is pretty clear, and then he has some sort of tension, whether it's like his face kind of like looking scared or nervous, or there's maybe some text that, you know, paints a negative picture of what he's doing in the thumbnail. So yeah, I guess those are kind of all the elements that make a good thumbnail. And that's kind of that. I guess that's what I try and do with mine. That was a long-winded answer, but yeah, I get fired up about thumbnails.
Yeah. I mean, and there's clearly a lot that goes into them too.
Yeah.
Because again, when you're fighting for people's attention, essentially, like the first chance you have to do that is the thumbnail. Like I remember watching like a pretty in-depth YouTube video about the science behind Netflix's like title cards and like what they choose to show you about that show and like what makes people more likely to want to click that show. And it's your same kind of thing, like people in it, you know. So it could be a nature documentary, but they may try to find like if there's any kind of a person's face or something they can highlight on that, like that tends to do well. And again, just the science behind our attention, which is really cool and also like really scary. Sometimes it makes me want to be like, like I work in media. Obviously you do too. I like working in sports media, but there's sometimes where I'm like, ooh, this makes me want to go like live in the woods and not consume any content for the rest of my life. But we both know that's not happening because we like it too much. So, but that's really cool and very cool to hear you just kind of go deep on it and take us through it. So, but real quick, before I get you out of here on a last kind of content note, you know, you've done some pretty cool series that I've really enjoyed, touring like top college golf facilities. You know, you've been to I think SMU, Vanderbilt, Arizona State, Tennessee, maybe a few other ones. Quickly, which is the best one you've seen so far, and when are you coming to my alma mater in Athens, Georgia, to see the world famous Georgia golf facilities?
Come on, dude. Favorite one has to be the University of Tennessee. They had just, it was like a pretty brand new facility. They had just built a brand new weight room. The entire facility is right on the river. And there's like they had like basically like a 3-hole golf course that was like customizable and you could do a bunch of different things with it. And then, yeah, the coach there, Brennan, was awesome. I told my wife, because my wife would come with me on all those, and we would always talk of like, if you were a 5-star recruit, like coming out of high school, like where would you go? And for us, it was always Tennessee and Knoxville. That place is sick. And then, yeah, I guess I haven't done one of those in a while. And the reason being that, like, my strategy right now with videos is just trying to find ideas that have like the widest total addressable market. So just like the most amount of people that could potentially watch them. And so those videos did really well. But what I noticed was like it was very specific to the fan base. So it was basically just like however big the school is, like that's how many views it was going to get. And it was tough to like really break outside of just people that are interested in the University of Tennessee and golf. And so, yeah, while they did pretty well, I guess I kind of like, they still took a lot of effort to do and a lot of traveling. And so, I kind of haven't done one of those in a while. I'm waiting for like Alabama to hit me up. I'm trying to get into Alabama. They have the sickest facility. But yeah, I probably won't do one unless somebody builds like some insane new facility, and I can maybe do like multiple of them in a video. But yeah,
very cool.
I do know Georgia has a sick facility. I've seen videos of their stuff. So
yeah, it's cool. But you can clearly tell all our money is going to football, like for sure. So, and understandably so. So, anyway, thanks so much, Josh, for the time. Folks, listen, be sure to check him out on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok at Josh Mayer Golf. And yeah, buddy, really appreciate the time and best of luck with everything going forward. Just quick, how much longer are we on Baby Watch here? Coming up here pretty soon?
November 22nd. Coming up here awesome. Very soon. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Do you have any kids, Nathan?
No, married recently in December, and kids soon, but not hopefully a couple more years of playing golf and watching football and doing what I want, which that's not to say that ends when you have a kid, but I hear it gets harder. So we're enjoying being newly married, and but no, that's awesome. Really pumped for you, really excited for you. And again, thanks so much for taking some time to hop on.
Dude, heck yeah. Thanks for having me.